Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
You have to run to stay in front. Welcome.
Unfiltered on Past the Wire TV. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unfiltered on Past the Wire TV. I've got my co-host, Michael Wilson. We've got Hall of Fame, one of the best ever in the game, John Velazquez, joining us. It looks like from the jockey room at Pimlico. Is that where you are, John?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to find a quiet place here where we can talk.
All right. We'll be quick. Before we start, I'm just going to show one thing quick because this is a picture of Amahalo winning in 2001 at Saratoga with nobody else but Johnny V on. And John, we are actually tied. Okay, you have a lot of accolades. We know that. You're in the Hall of Fame. I'm not. But I am tied for the leading owner win percentage in Saratoga. I ran one horse in my entire career at Saratoga. Amahalo. She win, you rode her, and I'm never running another one unless you're riding her and I know she's going to win. So I'm staying 1-for-1, highest percentage win in Saratoga. Got the record.
I like that a lot.
We got the record. It's on the wall. So
very good.
Well, welcome to the show. I want to ask you an interesting question, I think, anyway. There's a lot of opinions out there from people about a filly running against colts. You're going to ride against the filly on Saturday, Secret Oath. You won the Belmont Stakes on a filly. I think the Belmont is one of the toughest races in the United States to win, if not the world. You beat Curlin on a filly, Rags to Riches, some years back. How difficult is it for a filly to race against the colts? Is it a disadvantage? Is it not as important as people could think? From a rider's perspective, what is that all about?
You know, I think when the good horses are good horses, no matter what, whether they're females or colts, you know, I think when the females are really good, like Rags to Riches was in all the ones like they have run against the colts and run just as good or better against the colts, they can do it at any time. But it's always that special horse that can do it, though. Not all females can do that. You know, obviously, they got to be a special horses to compete. And you know, when they have it, they have it.
Okay. Another thing I'd like your take on. Pimlico is known as a speed favoring track with tight turns where it's advantageous to be on the lead. My observation over the years is that might get a little bit more hype or a little bit more attention than it deserves. I watch a lot of races and I think it's a fair track and you can win from anywhere depending on the pace and how the race shapes up. But a lot of people say, no, it's a speed track. It always has been. What's your take as a rider who's ridden and won races?
No, I think you really have it the way you explain it really well. You know, it depends on the race, depends on the day of the track, how the track is playing, whether it's raining or not. So, you know, any track can have a little bit speed buyers. I mean, anytime. But for these kind of races like this, I mean, you can have a speed buyer racetrack, and then all of a sudden you end up going too fast in front. You can't finish either. But you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's how much do you do with your horses and the competition that is going to be next to you? Because sometimes they think that the speed is really good, and all of a sudden 3 or 4 horses want to go to filly, and then all of a sudden everybody goes too fast, and they're not going to finish. That's for sure. So you know, it can vary from race to race.
Right. Now it's interesting because you ride a filly in a Black-Eyed Susan, Adare Manor, that at least on paper looks like the speed of the speed and probably the fastest horse early in the race. But on Saturday in the Preakness, you ride Simplification, who kind of used to be a speed horse, but the last couple of starts came from off the pace. So he might be able to do whatever you decide out of the gate. But my question is, when you rode Messier in the Derby 2 weeks ago, you were close to that fast pace, and now 2 weeks later you ride Simplification. So Messier's not in there, obviously. How tough is it as an athlete and a rider? In other sports, you play for a team. Rarely does a guy get traded mid-season, but you guys have to adjust to different mounts, different connections, different training styles. And sometimes in big races with a short turnaround time, like 2 weeks, how difficult is that for an athlete to have to say, you know what? I was all in and focused on Messier for the Derby. Now 2 weeks later, he's not running. I pick up another contender, Simplification. Complete change in game plans. How tough is that for a rider to do?
Well, it is about dedication and homework. I think if you do your homework, you can adjust to it, and then you have to adjust to whatever it throws at you. I mean, remember, we ride almost every day, and to different, at least for some of us, they get to travel all over, United States and abroad. So you got to adapt to it right away, and your homework is going to help you a lot in what the race looks like. And then, like you were saying earlier, it's like training different style of the horse of running, different tracks. So all of that, we got to prepare ourselves for it, and it's about preparation and dedication. And if you do your homework and do what's best for the horse for that particular race, and hopefully the horse will respond to the things you want to do, I mean, that's it, So I think it's about preparation,
Yeah, no, I agree. One last question, and then I'll let Michael ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to close out with a question about the Black-Eyed Susan, and I'm asking you this because I know from just watching you and studying you and from your talk with Michael a couple of weeks ago before the Derby, that you really do your homework. And I remember interviewing you for the Breeders' Cup a couple of years back, and I was impressed with how much you prepare and know not only your horse, but the other horses. So here's my question. Assuming you're on the lead in the Black-Eyed Susan with Adare Manor, okay? When you're on the lead, you can't see anybody because you're in front. Everybody sees you. Who is going to be in your mind behind you that you're worried about having to get away from, turning for home, that might be coming at you?
Well, there's a couple horses there. I shouldn't know the names of the horses, but I didn't look at it. There's a couple horses that they come up the pace that look really, really well. I don't have my program with me, my homework in front of me. Okay. My whole thing with her is actually, I don't want to overdo it. You said that she might be the fastest of the race, but there's a couple of speed here and on the race that are coming for sprinting and kind of miles, so they show a little bit of speed, and I don't want to be burning up on the lead if I don't have to. And I have a good position on the outside. She breaks well. If those two horses inside want to show up and have the speed that they want, and then settle down for the first battle and let it finish. Like you said, I mean, and again, I'm sorry that I don't have my homework in front of me. There's a couple horses come from behind that I have to be careful with.
That's okay. I understand. I get confused with all these horses myself. I can only imagine how it is for you guys. But you think she can run at a target as well? She doesn't have to be.
I think so. Yeah. Okay. I think so. Yes.
All right, Michael, take over.
Johnny, how's everything going?
Good, Michael. How are you?
Good. So, just out of curiosity, kind of as you talked about the Preakness being a fair track where you can come from anywhere, how important do you think a turn of foot is for a horse at the Preakness specifically?
Oh, that's really important. To tell the truth, because I mean, some horses, they kind of one pace, and they go that pace the whole way around the one, and sometimes it benefits for them, though. So the horses that got really speed, and that kind of one pace kind of drag it out a little bit and come and running down the lane. Not really running, just that pace, continue the same pace, and I get it, but when you have a turn of foot horse that you could see whatever you want, and all of a sudden you let go, that it's there on the need of you. Those are the horses that I like. No matter where I'm in front, on the back, whatever it is, when that you ask them, they're there for you very quickly. Those are the ones that I like the most.
It's interesting because Simplification looks like he could be that type of horse. I mean, he's won from different spots, but he closed really, really big in the Derby. Do you think he's kind of has that turn of foot as well?
It looks like it. I mean, I think he has that little turn of foot, but it's not really an explosion though. You know what I mean? It looks like he has a good, but not enough to explode and go on. So I think, in my opinion, and hopefully I haven't talked to Mr. Sano yet, I think we can't be too far back on him and try to make that explosion coming down the lane. That's it. If we at least 5 lengths behind the horses, but could be 4 feet. But I don't want to give him too much to do where when he has that turn of foot, that it'll be quick enough to get there and not overdo things. So hopefully I get it in the good position where when I do ask him, and that turn of foot like you were talking about, it's not an explosion, but it'll be there close enough that he can get there on time.
Yeah, so he's more like a grinder versus kind of like shift gear and go. Yeah.
Yes.
So obviously, as John mentioned earlier, you were on Messi and the Derby, you're now on Simplification. To me, every time I talk to you, you seem to remember everything. So do you remember this horse in the Derby, or were you so focused on your task that you kind of...
No, I remember this horse, and it's true. It's like, I was offered this horse 3 starts back. I was in California. I couldn't come back and go to Florida and ride him. So I've been watching him every start. So I haven't ridden yet, but I know the style. I know what he can do, and I think he has a really good chance here. Though, get a good break. He has shown speed in the past. I don't want him to be on the lead, obviously, but I don't want him to be too far back. And I think on the Derby, he got to be a little far back, and then he got into from the 3/8 pull to the 1/4 pull to the 3/16 pull. He got into a packet that he couldn't go anywhere, and when he let him out, he started running. So, and the other horses, obviously, the horses that were second and third, they were already far in front. And the winner in the Derby, it was an incredible run. We're talking about turn of foot. That horse showed an incredible turn of foot that day. So, the winner was impressive. So, that's one thing. And kind of when he let him go, he went in and out of the horses like he just started running the race, though. So that was very impressive. On the other hand, this horse was kind of in behind horses in the packet, and when he let him go, he did win, but he didn't have that explosion to get there. That's what I'm looking for. That I'm looking that I don't want to give him too much to do, so he may get there on time.
So obviously it's a little bit smaller field, and we kind of know how Pimlico plays. Everybody talks about the tighter turns, and to me personally, I think if you start building momentum on the turn on this track, it kind of slingshots you into the stretch. How is that correct? And then number 2, how do you think this race is setting up with these horses? Who are the main shooters that you're worried about or considering to be keeping an eye on?
Obviously, Joel's horse is the horse to beat. I just think he is the best horse in paper on the race. Cat Brown's horse showed a really good race in New York. So I'm hoping that, I'm hoping that their speed uses enough that Joel have to use his horse a little more than he wants to. And I want to follow him. I want to follow him. Like I said, it's like I don't want to be too far back. If I'm 3 lengths more behind that horse, then I'm okay. So, and like you said, I want to make my move in the turn where I'm going forward and I don't have to be on his mouth. Basically, I want to keep him going forward and hopefully I get a good trip that I don't have to stop him. And if that happens, and then I can get there on time. And hopefully I have the horse to do it.
Always helps to have the horse.
Yeah.
No, he looked like a great horse, obviously, in the Derby. And I think you picking up the mount in this spot and knowing how patient you are as a rider of knowing exactly when to go and your timing, I think it moves this horse up. So I'm excited to watch the race tomorrow. That's all from us in terms of questions. So really appreciate your time, Johnny.
I want to let you know one thing, Johnny, that I know you've been passionate about. So I want to give you a chance to address it. Okay. I know Michael and myself, and I know you, we all love horses and the animal. And I know you've been very vocal about the changes and the lack of education to the public with the crop and the riding rules. A couple of riders were fined in the Derby for excessive use of the crop. Real quick, the crop that they use today does not hurt the horses, correct? It's a soft Nerf type of tip that doesn't cause welts, doesn't cause bleeding. just gets their attention, doesn't hurt them. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely correct. And we have the data for many years since we changed the to the soft to copper, which is the pro cushion thing. And if you have the right crop, basically, because the problem that we have in the United States is that we have different states and they have similar things that look like the pro cushion, and they could be given out to the horses, and then it's not the right one. So I think all the information that we got and everything like that, and with the new HSAR rules and everything, they got that information about they would still happen welts and cuts on the horses. But again, because they were using the wrong whips, all of the wrong crops, basically. So when it's the right crop, it would not leave any welts or anything on the horses, and that's very important. So the problem with any trace would be under the microscope on the things about abusing the horses, but we don't abuse the horses. I think we've done a very, very good job moving forward with the crops that we use now that compared to what we used to use in many years ago. Again, the crops that we're using right now, if it's the right crops and they're watch over, they're very, very good and very safe for the horses.
And in addition, I mean, if we're worried about safety, limiting a rider or having a rider worried about not using the crop because he's going to get fined or get in trouble, that creates, correct me if I'm wrong, I've never ridden in a race, but it just would seem that creates more of a potentially dangerous situation, because you use those things for control and to, maneuver a 1,000-pound animal when you're 110, 115 pounds. I mean, it's almost like taking away half the steering wheel in a racing car, No,
you're 100% right, and I can't emphasize that more to people who are putting the rules and regulations that, we cannot wait to react after the horse does something. We have to anticipate, and the person who's on the horse knows what the horse is telling you. We feel what the horse is telling you. If you wait one jump, 2 jumps, it can get very ugly, So again, it's really tough to control these animals, and like you said, it could be dangerous, and too many regulations, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, I just wanted to close with that and give you another chance to get that out there, because I know you've been passionate about it. It affects your guys' safety out there on the racetrack. Thank you so much for coming on Unfiltered on Past the Wire TV. We love you. You're a good friend of the show. We'll be rooting for you Friday, today, and Saturday. And there he is, Johnny V, Hall of Famer in the Pimlico Jockeys room on Unfiltered.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Ciao for now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
All right.
Dan Oman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free, exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING, get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator, exclusively on DRF Bets.
1,000 words fighting back, coming down to the finish. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, this is one stunning picture. Honorary B is full out now, second on the outside. They're coming down the line. 1,000 words excellent.
Nobody does it better.